So following on from James, I probably should introduce myself. I'm Karen, by name and by nature. So everybody needs a Karen in their life. And yes, or I'm the OG Karen. I've been a Karen since the 70s. And with teenage kids, I've put up with a lot of that. I'm the owner of Money Masterminds. We love money. We love teaching people about money. We love teaching people about numbers in all of the nerdy ways. My background isn't as exciting as James's. You know, I come from a relatively normal family, a Dutch father, an Australian mother. They're still married. Went to university and then worked in business for the better part of 30 years. Dad was an entrepreneur, so Dad came out here and started his own business. So I don't know anything else. Because I have a love of numbers, apparently because I'm autistic, I grew myself through that up as far as board level as a company secretary, mostly in small to medium businesses throughout the multinationals throughout Asia Pacific and Australian businesses. Then I went through a nasty divorce, lost my focus, lost my job, couldn't get another one. So like Bobby, in 2018 I fell into the NDIS. I had a friend who put me onto it. We need good plan managers. You should come and do this. And I went, I'll get a few, that'll be a nice base income, and then I'll build my virtual CFO business, which is what I actually went out to do. We do a lot of plan management. Plan management got me through a nasty divorce, breast cancer, COVID, and put a roof over my head and food on the table for myself and my two kids. So I'm always very grateful for that. And what we've done recently is we've actually looked at what else we can do that will help participants understand money, understand numbers. How do we make a business understand their numbers? Because once you get that, you'll actually be able to make decisions about your business because the numbers tell you everything. They tell you that story. So we've gone out and expanded further. Let's see if I can get this to work to change the slides. So there's a nasty photo of me. So we offer within the NDIS space and for businesses, we do plan management. Lots of people do plan management. Realistically, we all do it very similarly, and we've all got the same choices. We're dipping our toes into support coordination, especially with the changes and the fact that we see so many plans overspent. And thanks to some of Bobby's advice and guidance, we also offer independent support coordinators to use our registration, and we'll do their invoicing for them and collect all of their money. And that way they can deal with agency managed clients as well. We do financial literacy. As I said, I love numbers. I'm really nerdy about them. We will sit down with your participants and teach them, build their capacity in understanding their own numbers, understanding how to budget, understanding how to save, so that they can build their independence and they can take control of their life to the best of their abilities. So sometimes it's a higher level thing. Sometimes it's as much as going, this is what a $5 note looks like. And if you go to the shops and you give somebody $50 for a $12 item and they give you only notes back, then that's a problem. If it has a 0 or a 5 at the end of it, they're the only times you don't get coins. So we'll teach people that sort of stuff because even that is enough to give them some more independence. And it's become an absolute passion in my life. We recently, after about 4 years of investigating, decided to take on state trustees, which is always a big one, for financial administration. So if you have a loved one who can't look after their own money or can't look after it by themselves, VCAT says that we should be working with them to build their capacity as well. We'll do that. We'll answer your phone calls within 21 days. We'll give you access to your money quickly because that's not fair. If it's your money and you need it to survive, then we should be able to do that for you. So we either do it privately or we do it through VCAT. It's become a real love of mine. And then for businesses, we offer bookkeeping. We offer what I call business accounting. We don't do tax, we don't do auditing, and we don't do financial planning, but we can do everything else because that's what I've done for 50 odd years. And it's my absolute love. I spend a lot of time on some of the Facebook sites, at networking meetings, and I listen to some of the things that people say about just basic things of business that they don't understand. And some of it's because they've never been in that level of business before. Some of the reason is because they're new to Australia and they don't understand how it works here. So what I've done is I've put together a few slides on some of the basic issues I see that are easy sometimes to answer and that people ask a lot of. Okay, insurances. I see this so many times. Do I need fully comprehensive insurance on my car if I'm putting a participant into it? You actually need to ensure that your insurer knows you're using your car for business purposes, otherwise it's not insured. So if you go out and drive a participant around and run into the back of a car and you tell your insurer that you were driving for work, they won't cover you. Actually a really important thing. You also need to make sure your car's roadworthy and that it's safe to put yourself and a participant in, because there's work health and safety legislation around all of that as well. Public liability insurance. You take the participant to the supermarket. They slip over on the wet floor and break a leg. They're going to sue you, the supermarket, and everybody that they can cover. You could end up losing your house. And people don't realise it can go that far. And with the work health and safety legislation that we have in Australia and with our director's duty, if something serious happens to a participant under your care, you could wind up in jail. So these are the things that people don't even realise you need to have. Public liability insurance will cover you if they fall over and hurt themselves on your watch. Professional indemnity insurance will cover you for what you offer. Cyber insurance, every plan manager should have it. And if you have a lot of money running through your business, even if it's someone else's money, you need to make sure you've got that. And you need to make sure that you are set up so that whatever is written in your cyber insurance policy, you're actually meeting, otherwise they won't cover you. Not at all. And that one, it's a relatively new one, but it's a really serious issue. And the last one that people probably don't really know about is what we call directors and officers insurance. So as a director or a senior person within a business that gets to make decisions, you actually are personally on the line. So if the company does something that isn't exactly right, but it's not negligent, that insurance will cover you. It's something that you, as a director of a business, you should always have. The next one's my favourite. I'm really nerdy about GST. I love GST. I implemented GST many years ago. And I see so much that comes up about this on people's questions that they ask. If you earn over $75,000 a year, you need to register for GST. Irrespective of whether you charge it or not, you need to register for it. That's what the government says we have to do. If you earn less than $75,000 a year, you can still register for it. And I always tell people that they should, because if you are, you'll get 1/11 of every business expense you have back in your own pocket. May not sound like a lot, but I'd rather have $1,000 a year in my pocket than $1,000 a year in the government's pocket. So it's actually a really important thing to do, even if you're not charging it. Most services in the NDIS are what we call GST-free supplies. So you still need to be registered for GST, but you don't need to charge it. There are guidelines around it that the NDIS have put out, but it's actually really important that you know that sort of stuff. And if you do work for other businesses, so if you're a contractor and you contract to another business and you're registered for GST, so you're earning $80,000 a year, you need to charge them GST. They don't charge the participant GST, but they claim back that GST that you've charged them. So ultimately it's no cost to them, it just impacts their cash flow. But it's a really important thing to know, if you're registered and you're working for another business, you've got to charge GST. Full stop. This one's another one of my favourite that pops up all the time, and I must admit, doing some research on this morning, I've actually learned a couple of things for myself, which apparently Bobby already knew. Let's put up here, what's the difference between a contractor and a provider? I see it all the time. I want to get super from my participant because I'm contracting to them. No, you run your own business. You are offering them a service. You get paid for that service. We get all the time, and I'm sure the other plan managers do too, where's my pay? Sweetheart, you don't work for me. You work for yourself because you've registered an ABN and you've got your own business. It's not pay. You put your invoices in, we organise for them to be paid. If you work for another business within the disability sector, then you're a contractor. But if you're working specifically with a participant, you're just offering a service. And it's actually a really important thing to know. Again, as I said, the provider meets the NDIS criteria, they don't charge the GST. I should put my glasses on, I can't even read that. So yes, they're the important things to know. This is one that's actually really, really, really important within our industry because of the way people hire people. It's actually not a new thing. I learnt about it 15 years ago, and it's called sham contracting. The ATO may deem your contractors to be employees, which means you need to take tax and super out of the money that you give them and give it to their superannuation fund and to the government. There is a criteria around it. Generally, if you earn more than 80% of your income from one person that you contract to, one company you contract to, you're actually an employee. From a tax point of view, it impacts superannuation, it impacts payroll tax, it impacts work cover, and it impacts fringe benefits tax, which people don't realise because they're now an employee, you're now giving them a benefit. There are things you can do to try and minimise that, but it's actually a really important thing to know. And it's something that I hear so much about that people don't seem to understand. And the government will crack down on this at some stage. So, if you're a contractor working for a provider and you're selling your labour services, they have to pay superannuation, which means they take it out of what they pay you and they send it to your superannuation fund. I didn't actually know that until I started researching the ATO website this morning to answer some of these questions. There's a bit of a definition on what's considered to be a sham contractor, which I've pulled off the ATO website. Talks about independent contractors, and you can't contract away these obligations. You can't turn around and go, I'll write in my contract that I'm not going to pay you super, even though you're selling me your labour services. The government won't have that. They'll come after you looking for that money. And they'll come after the provider. They won't come after the individual. That's just a little bit snapshot of the really dry information that I have in my head that I've dealt with for a very long time. We help businesses understand this stuff. And if we can't do it, then we know people who can. I know an HR specialist who can help with sham contracting to make sure you're getting it right from that side. It's really important we do these right because in the end, we're here to help people. So if we help them, if we get it right, then we have more to offer them. So thanks for your time, everyone. And if you've got any questions, come and see me later. Thank you.